Hi guys, how you doing? Right, part 2. I advise you to go watch part 1 because, as I do with these videos, because it was a good part, okay? So you'll understand why I'm channeling this person, you'll understand who I'm channeling, and you will have the build up to it. So in this part, we're going to be looking at Jimmy's soul contracts. Before I go any further, I'm going to share some cards. I actually chose some, he actually bought me, he didn't buy me. I bought me, he chose me 3 new decks to use for this work that I'm going to be doing. And that was the Wildwood Tarot. And the Gateway of Light Activation. And the Wild Harmonic Oracle. I'll put them all below in the comments, in the comments in the description. Before you all came on, I pulled some cards which I was going to talk about in the part 2, but I didn't have time. So we've got the 5 of Bows, Empowerment. Now we're talking about the soul contracts that Jimmy had with the world. I'm not going to go into with the victims and survivors, okay? We've also got Stargate Heart, Heart Chakra Opening, Unlocking Generosity. And we've got Celestial of Dimensional, Original, Wakefulness. So looking at his soul contracts, he was here to actually empower us. Why would an abuser empower us? Go watch part 1 if you've not watched part 1. And why would an abuser come to empower us? This was something that came after. When we're dealing with any form of abuse, we have a choice. We either become the victim or the survivor. Humanity chose this experience. Humanity chose this experience. All of us that incarnated at the same time chose this experience. And I said this in part 1 about the awakening, etc. He, in his lifetime, was able to open a portal, not knowingly obviously, into the dark underworld, the underbelly of society. And for him to pass over, and many people saw this before he passed as well. I must admit that, you know, I must say that many people admit that. Who's got something to admit? Let's not go there. There's somebody with something to admit. Anyway, I said I wouldn't, and I'm not. So, going there. After the passing, we had a choice of empowerment, and this is about empowerment. How do we take this forward? How do we go forward with this? What is there to learn from this? How is it to grow from this? How can we grow from this? We either become the person that became intensely angry, which I did, which probably you did at some aspects, and some people get even angrier. People are still smashing his cottage up in Scotland. I went past it just a couple of weeks ago, and it's as we were driving past, there were 3 teenage lads on the way up there anyway to cause havoc. Let me get my words right. I'm losing my words here. Let me pull it back in. What soul contracts? He's not wanting to go into soul contracts. He wants to go into generational stuff. The generational stuff. I love how I actually like how I was a grand orchestra as well, because I was just waffling then. Right, so I'll keep those cards out. He wants me to go into the generational line. Right, I'll put that back in, Okay. Generational line. Show me 3 cards on your generational line, Jimmy. What you want to say about your generational line. Oh, itchy nose. What do you want to say about your generational line? Injustice. The Green Man. The Mirror. The Stag at the bottom. There's another one that's needed to come through as well. Frustration. So this is the generational line. He feels like he's got deep wounds within the family. Hearthfire. Yeah. I know earlier whilst I was getting ready for this video, he's been very cagey about family because he's had a lot of releasing to do of his own stuff. And as he's got used to my energy this week and I've got used to his, it's like a bit like when you've got a friend and you start to build up your trust with them, that kind of thing. And the family, he said to me, he said that the family line that he came from, there's some heavy energies there, which is what I'm feeling about. Bring in Michael. Bring in Michael. The family, bring in the ancestral spray as well. Thank God for angelic celestial colours, eh? Ancestral line. Injustice. He said we're a family of abusers. All of us. Cold, callous, heartless. He showed me a hearth and it's got everybody around it, but it's empty. There's no love there. The green man spells. There was a curse. There's curses on both, on the masculine and the feminine, curses, deep ingrained curses on the bloodlines. Mirror. They were all a reflection of each other, and that's to go with any family, any community, any workplace, any world. We're all a reflection of each other. So if you get somebody in your life that's triggering you, an abuser or the bad guy, or you perceive that, everything is a mirror. And he's taking this from his own family hearth into the world family that we've got, which me, you, we're all part of, and we're all mirroring each other. And it was this frustration as well, frustration. One of the things he showed me earlier was the craze mother. And he said about mothers of that era, there was something lacking in mothers of that era, not all of them. I'm not sure, would they be the post-war era? They would, wouldn't they? Yeah, they would be the post-war. So, yeah, I don't know what they would be. Yeah, he was born in 1926. So no, actually the wartime mothers. There was something lacking. There was something. It was something that came in with the war, but it goes with Jimmy's family. It goes deep into bloodlines. That bloodline that he was born into. And he showed me the crazed mum and how she used to idolise her sons and knew her sons were doing everything, and she used to get dressed up and they'd walk her down the street and she'd have an arm in each arm and look at my boys, mummy's little monsters, etc. Ignoring the pain that the sons were causing. And he said his mother was very much the same, that she was aware of oddities. She was more than aware of oddities. She knew, okay. And she didn't stop it. He's taking me into his flat in Scarborough and he's showing me something. What are you showing me, Jimmy? Sorry, he's taking me to the flat in Scarborough and she's walking around the room and she's dressed up. And she's got Jimmy on his legs, crawling. How old are you at this point? 30s. And she's dominant. And he's crawling as an adult man round his mother. And he's bowing. He says he doesn't want to go too far with this because obviously for upsetting people, but he says there was abuse there and it's something he's trying to deal with in his own soul path. I don't want to go into that. It's not fair. Because for whatever he did as Jimmy, he's still a soul, and he's still a soul that is now trying to evolve. But yes. So yeah. Oof. But don't go down that road. Oof. It takes more than an egg to bake a cake. As in, we see an abuser and we just think abuser, and we point the finger. But actually it takes so much to make it. Abusers aren't just born. They don't do. It's actually saying when you come to, it says when you actually look at his soul, I'm talking about soul, it's pure. Like yours is pure, like mine is pure, like, I don't know, anybody's soul essence is pure. It's the layers of the cake, the different mixtures. You've got a mixing bowl. Some parents dash of magic, dash of love, dash of compassion, dash of empathy, dash of adventurous holidays, dash of warm hearth fire conversations, a dash of jokes with dad and granddad, a dash of this and a dash of love. And then you've got some parents and it's a dash of anger, a dash of resentment, a dash of abuse, a dash of control, a dash of manipulation. And he said that was his family. So, Jimmy, what would you say to people that are in similar situations to you? Get out. Get out. He says, but it's hard because you're in the net, and he's showing me like this swollen thing. You're in the net. What he's saying is sometimes you actually can't get out because of where you are mentally, and the systems that we've got in place at the minute do not help in some places. You've got to want to get out. He says you've got to really dig into that light source within you to get out. He says, and what happens is the more darkness happens to you in life, the more it lays on top of that dark source. So he says if you are the victim, you have to choose to become the survivor. So it's about really pulling out that light source. I get to choose. I either choose to get out or I choose to stay. This is what you also find as well is for many people, like in the situation, there was so much hate done as well. It was almost like mirrors. Where was the card of mirrors? How can I judge mother when I am the same? How can I go out and tell that mother's done something when I am the same as mother? She actually cut him off from normal relationships. I've just read the book. Whoa, blew my mind. She actually encouraged him, and I've always said this on my channels, if you take away the normal, you make way for the abnormal. And she actually took him away from normal relationships. She didn't, you know, want him to get married and have children, or get married and have a happy marriage. She didn't even want him to date women and have healthy relationships. She wanted him all to herself. There's some deep rooted stuff in that line, and this isn't about poor me, I'm Jimmy, and this is what happened. This is about understanding it at a higher level. So we as a species, not pointing fingers. Any more cards for the generational line? Cool. There's one more from this one. Star-crossed. Spirit of shadow. The dice, the roll of the dice. The roll of the dice. So it's a new deck and there's really small writing on it. Deeper self, dimensional, deeper self. Sometimes he's saying we're thrown into darkness to switch the light on. Sorry, my phone's buzzing away down there. Sometimes we're thrown into darkness to switch the light on. And that says, there's a little star drop, a drop of star comes into the earth, and then we've got to try and find out, we've got to try and grow that, yeah, God, there's so much coming through with him, it's untrue. This is us, we incarnate, and we're surrounded by all of this gunk, generational gunk, karmic gunk, soul contractual gunk, global gunk, and it's up to us to try to pulsate that light. But what happens often is it's really easy to just think, oh, I'm going to slip into the dank. That was one of my words, dank. I'm going to slip into the dank. I'm going to slope off into the dark. I'm going to slope off into the dark. I'm not going to birth this because I'm weak. I'm weak. So it's easier to be here because actually it feels though there's more people stood here than there is stood here at the minute. So it's easier to fit in here. And I can actually be the darkest, deadliest person going in here. But why can't I choose to go in there? And it's a choice to go in there. Everyone can go in there, but it's a choice. It's the roll of the dice. It's the roll of the dice. He says, you know, you're queuing up to incarnate, and you'll get a little boy that's going to go into a warm, loving family. You'll get a little child that's going to be going into a family that die, and then they get orphaned, and then you get a little child that's going into a rich family, a little child that's going into a poor family. And a lot of the time it's like the roll of the dice, or it feels like the roll of the dice. Right, so, you know, it's a bit funny then, a bit blocked up. Yeah, how are you doing? Let me know in the comments how you're doing. So, I'm going to do in the next episode, way forward, so what am I going to do with this one? How long have we got on the camera? Generational trauma, let's stick with generational trauma. Sorry, I feel a bit There's so much I need to get into these videos, it's untrue. So generational trauma. He's picking up this deck. For those watching in similar situations to you, Jimmy, can you pull them 2 cards? Pull them 2 cards, please, Jimmy. For those in similar situations to you. The journey. The journey. The moon on water. The stag. So if you are, like Jimmy, you are in an abusive, whatever, be it, he's actually saying this can actually be for anyone that's in any kind of abuse, any kind of, whether it's generational, whether it's workplace, whether it's whatever. It's actually the journey home to yourself. And that can trigger people. And I know, and this is why I said to people, please watch the soul contract video before you watch this. I'll put it underneath in the description. So you can watch it if you've not watched it, so you can understand it at a deeper level. So this is the journey back to ourselves. It's almost like we get put, where's that card again? Oh, I can't find it. Move on. We get put into the dark to find the light. That's it. It's simple. It's simple. It's not hard. It's you get put into the dark to find the light. Shamans, shamanic practitioners, especially shamans like myself who's a shamanic practitioner, one of our jobs is we go into the dark, which is what I've done in this video, in order to find the light. Where is that bloody card? I need to find that card. Anyway, leave it. And this is what it is with abuse. If you have put your hand up for a soul contract to do with abuse, number one, there's probably karmic stuff that needs to be cleared. Then we have to have that conversation. There's no point to say that's an awful thing to say, Claire. No, that's actually a true thing to say, and that's so important about your healing. But it's also about being dropped into the dark to find the light. Are you going to get dropped into the dark, and are you going to become darker and darker and darker as he did? Or are you going to be dropped into the dark and become lighter and lighter and lighter? And it was the same with us and him. We were dropped into the dark with him. And our job now is to find the fragments of light. I'm not saying to become his biggest fan, because the Jimmy that was alive is very different to the Jimmy that I'm channeling now. No, I'm not. Why would you? But at the same time, why would you then alternatively throw stuff at him? Moon and water, cleansing, the shadow. To be the victim of abuse is actually to find resilience. It's actually to find yourself, to find your power. It's an opportunity to, because he's saying that actually some people just don't, and he didn't. They go down deeper and deeper and deeper into it. It's an opportunity to not just see the dark within you, and that may trigger. It's not just an opportunity to see the darkness within them. It's also an opportunity to see the darkness within society. And he says there are lots of soul contracts playing out at the minute where we're going to be, as a species, shown more and more of this at specific times. It's not all gonna that's my door. Okay, that's my letterbox going. Post coming. Oh, there's something in that till the letter drops. Okay, I'm not going any further. Because as a species we've done it all, and I've said this in part one, as a species we've done it all, we've believed in it all, we've played in it all, and now we're having to work our way back to source, back to light. Earth was the great creation. Earth was the great test. This is Jimmy, this is not... Earth was the great creation. Earth was the great test, and we came down as humans, and we started to get darker and dabble and dabble and dabble and dabble and dabble and dabble and Sodom and Gomorrah and all that kind of stuff, and we just got darker and darker and darker as a species. And then bang, bang, lots of like thunderclaps coming in different scenarios within our own personal world, within the external world, which is work, family, community, and the global, that is now here to wake us up. And that's not wake up, what you do, because actually he's saying everybody is going through at different times. Also as well, what he's saying is everybody at soul essence is already woken up. The soul is already awakened. It's the physical body, it's the meat suit that's having to awaken, it's the species that's having to awaken, it's the collective that's having to awaken. The soul doesn't need healing, it's the energy, the body that needs healing. But the soul can fragment, it's complex stuff. Should we have a portal card? So, activation card for those going through abuse as a way out. Which doorway shall they go through? Because this is an activation deck. Emerald tablet activation, cosmic ordering, divine alchemy, conscious manifesting, memories of Atlantis, spiritual acceleration, progress and technology. So this is us as a species right now are very different from the days that he lived here as the character JS. And as far as our energy was more dense, and we were very we were not multi-dimensional back then. You see, we were not you can actually feel the frequency of the people back then. And this isn't judgment. This is, you know, you read back in the history, you think, why did they accept that? You look at the old Carry On films, oh, Metatron and all that kind of gutter talk. He hated that, apparently, gutter talk, says him. You look at us back then to what we are now, and these are new codes that are coming in, new light that are coming in. People that work in these areas are getting better and better and better. So people that work in counselling and therapy and etc. are getting better and better. And as more light comes in, we're starting to attach into our shamanic light, our Atlantean light, our Lemurian light, our Palladian light, our Domina light, whatever light it is for you. We're starting to tap into the old civilizations that went in, and we're starting to fire up our skills. The magician card I'm seeing, we're starting to fire up our own skills. So it's actually easier now than ever before to actually step forward if you want to, and if you're willing to go through he's saying there is still a lot of and a lot of swampy energy to walk through, but once you start walking it becomes lighter and lighter and lighter. It's about actually wanting to be the survivor and not wanting to be the abuser or to stay as the abused. You showed me the tarot deck and the sword energy in the tarot deck, and how we always, in the tarot, it's all about using the sword, not as your trauma in your head or your trauma in life, but to use it as your power, the sword of truth. Are you going to come out of it? And it's like coming out of the dark tunnel, the dark portal, bursting out and have a better life and find help. So it's actually down to the person. It's down to the person, to what you've got to want to heal. And that's with any kind of trauma, and whether it's abuse or trauma, you've got to want to heal. Am I a victim or am I a survivor? And the two are very different frequencies and very different energies. Progress, technology as well. So technology is changing and people get triggered by that, but technology is a good thing. It's a good thing because it enables you to have more choice over counsellors, therapists, healers. Whereas before you only had your local doctor, your local hospital. Now you can, there's healers, there's everything out there right now. Thanks for watching, and we will see you in the next one. See you later, bye.